You need luck? There's no sign of any cerulean. Hardly surprising, but disappointing nonetheless. I couldn't help but notice you gazing at the pond. Is something the matter? What? Yes, I mean, no. I'm. It's just. I used to bring my brother and sister here to play. The pond was healed to stop it from freezing over. So, like all other children, they just had to wade in and splash about. Would have stayed there if I didn't drag them out. We'd be sopping wet when all was said and done. Every time. And every time when we'd go home, Mother would scold us, saying we'd catch our death walking around like that. The pond was heated with a cerulean-powered heater by chance. I suppose it must have been. Come to think of it, I remember seeing engineers changing out a tank beneath a hatch. But that was a long time ago, and the water still flowed clear and wasn't this brackish muck. We can't see a thing, and I can't remember where the hatch might be. With the machinery most likely broken, the amount of filth in there is probably the only reason it hasn't frozen over. I'd wager it's still unbearably cold, though. Julius, what are your thoughts on magic? The average Gaulian would jump out of their skin if they saw it, but the first has a few foreign signiferi and medixi, so it doesn't scare me. Then I take it you won't mind if I employ a little now. Alphino, as you have a knack for finding dry wood, why don't you bring me some? Once that's done, a blast of verifier should do the trick. Leave it to me. You're not planning to go in there, are you? Of course I am. That tank isn't going to fetch itself. It's nothing so involved as extracting unprocessed ceruleum from a frozen lake, like how the tappers do it. We're talking about a shallow pond in a park, and we have a way of warming ourselves up after. But that's insane. So fancy a dip? Last thing we need is you catching a cold. If you're that concerned for my well-being, you can dive in and help me look. The quicker we find that ceruleum, the sooner we can get out of here. You delve into the murky water, but come up empty-handed. To add injury to insult, the icy wind on your damp clothing chills you to the bone. I'm taking damage from this? I guess that makes sense. Alright. You open the hatch and retrieve a ceruleum tank. And we're freezing our balls off. However, your grand discovery comes at a personal cost as you become acutely aware of the freezing cold and a rancid odor emanating from every ilm of your body. Julius will doubtless feel compelled to pinch his nose shut when you deliver him your prize. Did you find anything? I hope you did. That's it. And there's still cerulean left. The fire's still not ready. Hold on, I'll give Alphino a hand. Ah! Working together now. Call me an Uldan, because by fire I am reborn, and my clothes are mostly dry now too. I appreciate you recovering the cerulean, but I wish you'd taken the time to discuss the plan with me beforehand. Despite the way you've been treated, Lord Quintus's eyes, you're still envoys deserving of protection. If you were to die on my watch, he would be most displeased. Your concern is duly noted, but all's well that ends well. Julius, you mentioned coming here with your younger siblings. Did you grow up in Garlemald? I did, not far from here. My father was an accomplished researcher in his youth, and for his contributions to the Empire, awarded an estate. We lived well, better than many. What was Garlemald like in those days? Everything. It was everything we could imagine and so much more. Even during the coldest winters, we always found warmth and comfort at home. Coming in from the snow, taking off your coat, and sitting down for a hot meal with family. Visiting friends and relatives, receiving the same welcome, knowing they had everything they needed. Walking down the street. And although the summers came and went all too quickly, in that brief respite, the ice would melt and the forgotten grass make its triumphant return. Gray clouds gave way to blue skies. Some mornings, we'd climb to the top of the tallest building we could find to watch the sunrise. Never again. Those rooftops are rubble, those friends dead, and those memories. But if I could reclaim even a fraction of what we once had. Soon, our chance will come. We just need to hold on a little longer. Owing to the wealth of experience I've accrued in gathering firewood, I was even able to provide Julius with some basic pointers on the subject. I thought it might help further build a rapport, and to distract him from his other concerns. Or at least my clothes are finally dry, though they could still do without proper wash. Alright, now that you've recovered from your escapades in the pond, there's another location I'd like to search just outside the park.
Finally escaped the watchful gaze of your keepers, have we? Don't react. You'll only draw attention to yourself. Just carry on as you are and listen. After you left with the Garlean lad, Lucia bade a few of us scouts follow you at a discreet distance. We observed you being led into the station, but decided against venturing inside. When you emerged sometime later, and we saw that the twins were sporting Magitech collars, it was clear what had taken place. Now, as quietly as you can, tell me everything. The Legatus himself, eh? Now there's a surprise. This is also the first I've heard of a plan to join forces with the 10th and storm the Tower of Babel. An interesting development. And perhaps the opportunity we've been waiting for. Our comrades back at the camp also received some rather promising news, but it's still too early to get our hopes up. For now, keeping yourselves out of harm's way comes before all else. Whatever demands the Garleans make, indulge them. With luck, this will all be over soon. Until then.
They had not gone far.
We searched high and low, but no luck, I'm afraid. I might have guessed you'd be the only one to find anything.
I wasn't expecting much to begin with. Eventually, there will be nothing left out here for us to safely salvage. For now, this will have to suffice. We should return to the station.
Ah, there you are. Heard you'd gone hunting for ceruleum above ground. Brought back a king's ransom?
I mean, they seem to care about their people, which is as much as you could say.
Hardly. But thanks to these three, we have enough to last a little while longer.
Well, well. It's not at all what I was expecting, these ones. For savages, they seem positively docile.
They've never seen Eorzeans outside of battle.
It's a poor attempt at humor. In all honesty, I'm grateful for your efforts. But even with another night of warmth, there are those among us who may not live to see the morrow.
At the very least, I would say that the Garleans are just ignorant, and, you know, it's just ignorance. They just don't know. They just don't know any better, besides their own upbringing.
I trust your expedition was fruitful.
Lord Quintus!
Use what you procured to refuel the armor.
But, sir, what about the heaters for the camp?
Ah, what an ass.
The time for action is upon us. My men and I have matters to discuss. In the meantime, you are to wait here. Do not forget, you are being watched.
The time for action. What did he mean by that?
I can only speculate. Clearly something requiring their magitech, given what we just heard. Whether they plan to utilize it now, or after they join with the 10th, is another question. Will they ever escape this cult? Return to and reclaim the idyllic spaces of which Eula spoke?
Finished your war, Council?
Alphino and Alizé are to stay here as our prisoners. They will be released once your comrades have relinquished their supplies and withdrawn from Garlean soil. Until our terms are met, they will be detained at a separate location.
After everything we've said and done, this is how you treat us.
Our allies have but limited supplies. They may stave off cold and starvation for a short while, but what then?
For now, keeping yourselves out of harm's way comes before all else. Whatever demands the Garleans make, indulge them.
Get them out of here.
Oh my god. They better not hurt them. Alphino and Alice will be fine, providing they do not resist. Once again, Euless has been entrusted with an unenviable task. Transported here. The task falls to legionaries Marcellinus and Octavia, who will pilot Magitech armor to your headquarters. You are to inform them that we are leaving shortly. Tell them to ask the Isle for further details in those words. Once you've seen to that, meet me by the exit. You again. Ask the Isle, he said. So that's to be the way of it, after all this. How ironic that you should be the one to deliver the news. If those are my orders, then so be it, for the glory of Garlemald. What did you want with me? Ask the Isle, so Lord Quintus has reached a decision. I knew he would understand, that he would recognize the savage as a ruthless, merciless creature, and to defeat him, we too must be uncompromising. I am ready in the name of the Emperor Varus, for the glory of Garlemald. I will fulfill my duty. Have you done as instructed? What do you mean by ask the Isle? I'm not at liberty to divulge that. What I can say is this. You have no cause for concern if our demands are met. You and I are in this together now, like it or not. We have to cooperate. There is one other matter. A place I'd like to visit on the way to your camp. It's a short walk from here. Follow me. That's interesting. Ask the Isle. I'm like, what the hell is the Isle? Is it Isle or ill? Euless lingers by the ruins, reluctant to leave, and reluctant to stay, unable to move on. This music is great.
This is my home. Our home. At least it was, until that night. I was with Lord Quintus when the capital fell, and thus spared. My family, who did not own a radio, were less fortunate. When dawn came, I made my way here. My parents, my little brother and sister, they were still inside. But they weren't themselves, and they tried to. And I had to. I'd promised to take them away from the capital that very morning, to somewhere safe, to hide until the fighting stopped. I promised. The Garlean flag bears a chain, the bonds between our countrymen. A red link at its center, the blood of the fallen. Our loved ones who lived and died for Garlemald. But if she too fell, who would be left to remember them and their sacrifice? What enduring proof would there be that they were ever here? If we had turned to your gods, would they have saved us? I'm sorry, forget I spoke. We should go.
No use.
Believe me, I do not enjoy being here any more than you. But he wanted us to play along, so that is what we will do.
closer.
So cold.
Painfully so. Unbearably.
I've been thinking about what Quintus said. About why no one would accept Garlean rule. Irreconcilable differences. When coexistence isn't an option, only conquest remains. Varys at Gimlet said much the same. Only by uniting the world beneath a single standard would we rid ourselves of the Ascians. United as one people. One race cleansed of imperfections. A cold and unforgiving vision. And when we fail to live up to their standards, what place is there for us in their world? But the truly sad, truly frustrating thing is how damnably similar it all is to the lofty ideals of Father and the Forum. Non-intervention. Always non-intervention. Protect our knowledge and our people, and to hells with the rest of you.
That's right. That's exactly the same.
And yet, I can see how it happened. Varys and Father looked to their elders for guidance and took their virtues as their own. But for this world was of their making. In who else could they place their trust? All of us lost in a sea of chaos, searching desperately for purpose and meaning. But it shouldn't just be an extension of another's. It has to be ours. It has to be. We all have a stake in this world. No one should be silenced.
I won't deny that we lack the experience of people such as Father or Quintus. Perhaps they've come to see the world as a series of problems, and the most efficient way of solving them, to reduce everything to fundamental forms. A stone is a stone, a cloud, a flower, no more than that. Simple descriptions that strip the subject of distinguishing characteristics. A man is a man, divided according to race, creed, or allegiance, and to some, defined by such associations.
Is that what you think?
In my misbegotten youth. But what I believed wisdom was no more than aggressive ignorance. I've since learned to look beyond the banners and the politics, to see people as individuals with their own hopes and dreams. As for my dream of building a better world, well, every day I'm reminded that it is far more complex than I had ever imagined. But it only spurs me onward, to find the wisdom and the strength to see it through to the very end.
Alphinaud has been talking about building a better world since the beginning of A Realm Reborn.
All of our supplies and an immediate withdrawal. These are your conditions?
Demands. And you forgot about the airship. Once again, you will leave one behind. It will be used to return the prisoners. Their collars will be removed prior to the exchange.
So in the end, not even Father's expertly worded rhetoric could deter you from your chosen course.
Huh?
Not that I thought for a moment that it would. I've no love for violence, of course, but ours is a cause worth fighting for. I just wish he'd realize it too. Sometimes the only way to protect the ones you love is to take a stand. To refuse to suffer in silence. I want you to know I share your conviction. Whether it be on the battlefield or in the debating chamber, I won't back down. I guess what I'm saying is...
You've found your own reason to fight.
Yes. Yes, I have. God's willing, there will come a day when we can finally lay down our arms, and there will be peace. But not until the Telophoroi have been defeated once and for all. And you, brother, will have a vital part to play. By your words and deeds, you'll lead the way.
I pray I am up to the task.
There'll always be naysayers. Those who think us fools for even trying. It's easy for learned elites to criticize earnest efforts and assert their moral superiority, all without offering alternatives. Not that their sophistry has ever wounded you. So stubborn and strong. Stronger than you even know. Don't ever change, you hear me? If you stumble, I'll be there to catch you. Or give you a thick ear. Maybe.
Thank you, Alice.
Oh, what now? Estinian! Yeah, that's right. Estinian wouldn't let them get caught.
The scouts have secured Alize and Alfino. Their collars were removed without complication as well. They report no casualties, not for their party nor the guards, who will wake from their premature slumber in due course.
It would appear the situation has changed. I propose new terms. We have information that will be of great interest to Lord Quintus, and I wish to speak with him in person.
Come on.
In the event you rejected our first proposal, we came prepared with a second.
Come on, enough with the freaking games.
Ambush!
More are coming! Make ready!
We, the loyal soldiers of the First Legion, proud servants of Garlemald,
Proud servants of jack shit.
Varys, shall safeguard these lands from the barbarian hordes until our countrymen return! Stop, both of you!
This child may be the worst emissary I have ever seen.
We received an urgent communication from the Grand Company of Eorzea. Envoys from the Imperial Army, led by members of the 10th Legion, came to Alamigo and requested an audience. They explained that their efforts to coordinate the reclamation of the capital with the aid of the 4th, 5th, 8th, and 12th had ended in failure. Communication between most legions has broken down entirely. Most of the 10th's conscripts have deserted, leaving their forces severely depleted. That is why, unable to continue the fight on their own, they and their allies turned to the Grand Company of Eorzea for aid.
Y'all are walking into your death, boy.
Lies. Every word.
Oh, come on.
It is the truth, and I have not finished. The 10th has requested that we deliver a message to Lord Quintus. Have the ill stand down.
What the
You have
heck
been
is
listening,
the
my lord? What are your orders?
Inform her that we will honor the 10th's decision.
Oh, good. Come on. Come off your high horse.
Bereft of hope, and now dignity. I release you from your duty. All of you. I take solace, your radiance, in the knowledge you are not here to witness our debasement. 'Twas a grand, glorious dream we shared. Of a world united, of peace and prosperity. We are ghosts, you and I, memories of days gone by. Bonds forged in blood that I will not see tarnished.
Yep, of course he's gonna take the Hitler route. Supposedly, he's gonna shoot himself. Of course.
Quickly! We have to reach the station before it's too late.
If there is still a chance that Quintus will agree to a truce, we must take it.
I just hope we get there before he and his men do something rash.
Oh, he's doing something rash, all right. Yep. No more legatus. I think that's the first time we've ever seen that happen in Final Fantasy. That's intense. They just didn't see a future beyond, what they believed. And I mean, I guess that can be relatable for some, but it's never too late to change. I just did a whole bunch of quests, took a break, came back, and let's see where we're at now. We got Graha Oriange with us. We arrived just before you did, and too late. Too late for what? What's happened? The man shot himself. That's Lord Quintus. He took his own life. After the news about the 10th, he relieved us of our duties. Then, when he was alone, he... No, he wouldn't. Thancred and the others, assisted by the soldiers, have seen to the remains. In due course shall the legatus be afforded a proper burial. He released us from our duty. He wanted us to be free to choose our own fate. Without him to guide us where I have just this moment spoken with Relucia. We are ready to commence the transfer of the refugees here to Camp Broken Glass, should they be willing to accept our aid. Some would rather die, but most of us just want to live. Songs and standards to be damned, we just want to live. We'll need to speak with the refugees. They'll have to decide for themselves if they wish to come with us. If any would prefer to stay, we can have supplies brought over to them. It'll be a hard journey for the others, but we'll see they reach camp safely. This is it. They have to go against everything that they were taught, essentially, and trust outsiders. After what happened to his family, the first was all Euless had left. Now even that's been taken from him. He's not alone in that either. There's comfort in having someone to follow, someone to lead. To think that we'd end up taking the First Legion themselves, or what remains of them, into our care. Not so long ago, such a thing would have been inconceivable. But these are strange times indeed. They're about to get a whole lot stranger. I can guarantee that. Oh, I guess I have access to the Aetheryte now. Who's gonna stop me? The Legatus? There you are, and none the worse for wear. Oh, look at that look on your face. I take it you mean you found the seeds, then. You have? How wonderful. This ought to brighten my daughter's spirits and hopefully entice her to put up a bit of food in her belly. Why, look at all you have brought. Medicine, a toy bear? But I did not even ask, and yet, goodness, I am so touched. You are too kind, truly. My life lately, if one can even call it that, has been consumed by concern. Concern for my daughter's safety, where our next meal will come from. But your good deed today was a bright spot in these bleak times. To tell the truth, you are not the first to show us unexpected compassion. Being from the provinces, I feared the Garleans here would turn us away, but they offered us food and shelter. If it weren't for them, we may not be alive today. And now we owe a debt of gratitude to you and your contingent. Thank you. My daughter will grow strong again. For this, I'm sure. While I can't offer much, I want you to have this, and will not take no for an answer. King Crab Cake. Not bad. We have much to discuss. Our rescue, the attack on Camp Broken Glass, what we'd hoped to talk about with Quintus. But all of that can wait. More urgent matters demand our attention. Are any of the refugees willing to come to our camp? Thank the 12. Thank the 12. You and I should first go and secure the route back to Camp Broken Glass. With all the creatures and tempered skulking about, I expect we'll have our hands full. This should come in handy. Conqueror's Chain. Courtesy of our Lumins and friends. I'd save it for the tempered, though. I'll mark a few points that need surveying on your map. Once you've taken care of the riffraff, we'll meet back at our camp. I'll stay with the refugees and do what I can to protect them. While I have no doubt you and Thancred will do a fine job clearing a path, we must be ever vigilant for threats that may have slipped the net. Alright, we're doing Strange Bedfellow. Survey the designated locations that deal with any enemies that appear. Okay, this is gonna be a little bit of a trek forward. Quintus's suicide. It must have come at great shock to his men. What of the refugees? I'm told some were receptive to our proposal, but I would hear your first-hand account. That so many did not hesitate to accept proves how desperate their situation has become. We'll do our best to make them feel welcome. The troops who participated in the ambush are no exemption. They will be afforded the same treatment as any other refugees. Petrified notwithstanding, after all. Even if I wanted to make an example of them, there's no one left to learn from it. We will tell our allies that these soldiers were acting under the direct orders of their legatus, and that following his suicide, they offered a full and unconditional surrender. Perhaps Quintus thought that had he lived, he would be tried as a war criminal, and his men punished with him. Perhaps by taking his own life, he hoped to absolve them of any culpability. Or perhaps, like too many others, he was a true believer to the end. Who can say? I didn't know the man or his heart. His reasons, noble or otherwise, died with him, and it falls to us to clean up the mess. I assume you're curious how matters have progressed here in your absence. Quite well, as it happens. Now that we've procured ceruleum from Tapper's Den, the recently repaired healers can provide much-needed warmth. Furthermore, we've prepared sufficient foods for everyone. Those from Tertium shall find a hot meal waiting upon their arrival. There's one for you too, so go ahead and get some well-earned rest. I believe we're capable of wielding a ladle or two without your assistance. On your way, might I ask that you seek out Ishtola. She was but recently attending the wounded, but she's meant to be taking a rest herself. See that she is.